no longer able to visit my favourite river, so I come here and I find the magic by telling stories to myself as I walk and take exercise. And a particular story that I've been finding very potent is a story about Elen of the Ways, who was a goddess of sovereignty, and she's connected with earth energy lines and with deer. So this is a story from the Mabinogion, and in the story she's known as Helen, but I'm going to use the name Elen. She's often referred to as Elen of the Ways. This story I found to be particularly potent, and every day that I've told it to myself, I've ended up seeing deer moving through the forest. So there's definitely something, it's got a very magical quality to it. And this was a technique which I discovered at a Martin Shaw workshop in Devon. So we talked about the idea of telling the story to the trees, to the bees, the birds, the animals, and practicing, getting used to the story and learning all about its nuances and its details and how it wants to flow through you. So I found that to be a really, really beautiful thing to practice in nature. So I'm going to share the story. You might recognise some of the elements I've already spoken about, so you might spot the connection with earth energy lines, so ley lines, and the story is essentially a vision quest, so it's all about the power of dreams. So I do believe some dreams can be very organisational and some can be teaching dreams. They can be quite prophetic, or they can help us to integrate something or provide wisdom. And this is essentially a vision quest dream, and it's all about what happens when we accept that invitation. So I hope you enjoy. There once was an emperor of Rome. His name was Magnus Maximus, and he went out once down the valley with a group of kings. He felt to take rest, and so he sat down by the riverbank, and the kings placed their shields all around him to protect him from the sun, and they placed a golden shield beneath his head as a pillow. And there he fell deep into a deep dream. He found himself flowing down the river. Came towards a mountain, and beyond it was a harbour full of ships. And there, the greatest ship, made of gold and silver, he climbed aboard and sailed across the seas towards the fairest island that he had ever seen. As he travelled across this island, he found his way coming towards a great mountain, and he followed up the river towards its mouth. He saw a castle, and he entered it. He walked into the hall, and there on the left were two boys playing chess. There was an elderly man by the pillar, sat down carving a chess piece. He had a gold diadem in his hair, a golden torque about his neck, and golden bracelets. To his right was a maiden sat on a chair. She had long brown hair. She was the most beautiful lady that he had ever seen. He felt such a sense of familiarity and love as he looked upon her. He moved towards her and sat down, and just as their cheeks were about to touch, he found himself waking up, and he was back in Rome, in the valley. For days and weeks he did not eat or drink. He would not go to council or meeting. He just wanted to sleep and dream of the maiden that he had seen. One of his pages came to him. "Lord, the people revile thee," he said. "You do not come to council, you do not come to meetings." And so the emperor, Magnus Maximus as he was known, explained what had happened, of his dream and the maiden that he had seen. "Since seeing her, all life is gone from me," he said. "Lord, permit me to give counsel," said the page. Send out riders across the lands. For 3 years, let us find word of this maiden and bring her to Rome. So it was. The messengers went out. They searched and they searched, and they grew weary and tired, and after 1 year they came home with no news to give the emperor. One of the weary kings approached the emperor and said, "Lord, let us return to the river where you had this dream. Perhaps we may find more details." And so they went down to the river. The emperor stood at the riverbank and looked out. He pointed. "West, westward, I went west down the river," he said. And he described the mountain that he had seen, and he described the harbour and the great ship. So the messengers set out at once westward down the river. "Behold," they said, as they saw the mountain, "it is as our Lord described in his dream." And then they saw the great harbour. "Behold," they said, "it is as our Lord described in his dream." And after seeing the great ship, they climbed aboard and they sailed across the seas towards the island of Britain. They travelled across the lands, and they found their way at Mount Snowdon. They went up the river towards its mouth and came to the castle, and they entered the great hall. They walked inside, and they saw the 2 boys playing chess, the elderly man by the pillar carving a chess piece, and there by the pillar they saw the maiden with dark hair. "Empress of Rome," they said. "Empress of Rome?" said the maiden. "Yes, it is you that the Emperor of Rome has dreamed about. And he asks, will you come to Rome to wed him, or will he come here?" "I do not doubt what you say, nor do I believe it either," said the lady, who was known as Elen. "If what you say is true, and he loves me, then bring him here." And so it was that the messengers returned to Rome with the news, and the emperor packed up his things and set off straight away towards the land of Britain. He found himself travelling towards Mount Snowdon, up the river, and he entered the castle. And there he saw the lady that he had seen in his dreams. "Empress of Rome," he said as he approached her. And he felt a sense of familiarity and love beaming from his chest. They hugged in a warm embrace. The following morning, Elen asked for her maiden portion, and the emperor, who was henceforth known as Maximus, said, "Ask what you will." And so Elen asked for the lands of Britain to be governed by her father, the chieftain, and she asked for 3 castles to be built for herself. Once these castles were built, she asked for roads to be built connecting these castles across the lands, and the people set out, and only for Elen would they have built these roads. For 7 years the Emperor Maximus stayed on those lands. Now it was the custom that if after 7 years an emperor had left Rome, that a new emperor would be appointed, and they discovered that a new emperor had indeed stepped forth, and so Maximus set out at once to Rome with an army. For 1 year they battled outside the walls of the city, but they could not enter. And so Maskin sent for aid. He asked for Ellen's brothers to come and help. And so the brothers came alongside Elen. They had great strategies and skills in battle, and they prepared ladders which they erected up against the walls of the city. They climbed in, and a great battle commenced. The emperor was toppled, and the brothers announced that Maskin was indeed the Emperor of Rome once again.
Known as Helen in the Mabinogion, I use the name Elen since she is often called Elen of the Ways or Saint Elen, and was recognised as a historical figure of the 4th century. Not much is known about her, but some see Elen as an ancient goddess of sovereignty, a representative of the land of Britain, and a protector of roads, paths, and the ley lines of energy flowing across the lands. Although Rome never canonised her, she was considered to be a saint of the Welsh Church and was a founder of churches in the late 4th century. Caroline Wise, the author of Finding Elen, believed that Elen was also in charge of migration routes and animal paths, particularly those of deer and reindeer. As such, she is sometimes thought of as an antlered goddess. She could be called upon for protection on physical and spiritual journeys and for guidance. Little of her survived in our history books, yet she has inspired many artists, writers, and spiritual seekers, and there is a sense that one must walk the path in order to learn about her and the ritual landscape, the traces of which can still be found in Britain today. It intrigued me that Elen was associated with reindeer. However, they were found roaming freely throughout Scotland until the 13th century, when they were hunted to extinction. They were reintroduced in 1952 in the Cairngorm Mountains, and now around 150 roam freely. Reindeer follow migration paths, suggesting another symbolic link with this goddess of ancient tracks. The oldest piece of art in Britain is considered to be the swimming reindeer, which was carved on a mammoth tusk 13,000 years ago and was discovered in France and featured a male and female deer. In 1930, the Scottish lawyer and historian James George Mackay gave a talk on his research on an ancient deer goddess cult of the Caledonians. In old Gaelic stories, giantesses sang to their deer and goddesses herded and milked the deer. In Gaelic mythology, the Cailleach was a divine hag, an ancestral deity, who was often seen as a personification of winter, who herded the deer. There are many deer goddess archetypes. The Roman goddess of hunting, Diana, was known as Artemis in Greece, and she was often depicted with stag imagery. In Tolkien's mythology, the deer goddess archetype can be seen in the angelic being Nessa, who was also known as Nessa the Swift due to her ability to move fast, and deer often followed her train as she moved through the wilds of Armon, where she was often able to outrun them. Since September, I have spent time exploring some of the ancient pathways on the moors in Devon, some of which are known as green lanes. These green lanes were ancient trade routes which were used to move slate from the quarries, to smuggle with pack horses, or to move farm animals. I had found myself on some of the old straight tracks. In his classic book about ley lines, The Old Straight Track, Alfred Watkins wrote about many elements associated with these energy lines in the landscape, including markstones, marked trees, tracks and ridges, mounds, barrows, cairns, beacons, moats, camps, alignments with the sun, churches, castles, wells, notches, and water points. There is a sense that this is channeled wisdom coming through, and John Mitchell at the beginning of the book said, "The revelation took place when Watkins was 65 years old. Riding across the hills near Bredwardine in his native country, he pulled up his horse to look out over the landscape below. At that moment he became aware of a network of lines standing out like glowing wires all over the surface of the country, intersecting at the sites of churches, old stones, and other spots of traditional sanctity. The vision is not recorded in the old straight track, but throughout his life Watkins privately maintained that he perceived the existence of the ley system in a single flash.